And what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight and Monday Night Raw, seeing the return of a couple of familiar faces to the women's division looking to shake things up in a big way. And then the rest of the faces of the Monday Night Raw roster showed up to bring us back down to earth because, after all, this is Monday Night Raw and we shouldn't get our hopes up. They had to try to get us excited for the horror show at Extreme Rules, and instead they got me kind of dumbfounded with some of the decisions that they've made, and we are going to talk about that and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are tuned into the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Monday Night Raw review. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
An eye for an eye. Eye for an eye. An eye for an eye. What does it mean? He says. Seth Rollins. What does it mean? Eye for an 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 eye. They couldn't have wrote something better to kick off that promo. Anyway, let's just get right into the what the message was that Seth Rollins was trying to get across to us tonight, as he came to the realization that I was afraid of, that we speculated on last week, which is this eye for an eye match with Rey Mysterio actually has to end with somebody extracting your eye. Not extracting your eye out, Todd, whatever the fuck your name is, it don't make a difference. You don't have to say the word out when you say you're extracting something, and the word extraction means to take out. You don't have to extract out. You can't extract something in. That's me nitpicking right off the bat, because this thing has just got me mind-boggled, man. It's got me baffled. How is this going to work? How bad is this going to look, with the reports of the WWE looking into CGI to pull this off? Why would they go CGI? Do they not know that they could call up Tom Savini? Tom Savini is a world-renowned, famous makeup special effects artist, all known throughout Hollywood. He actually was responsible for coming up with the mask for the Fiend and the belt that the Fiend had with the whole Fiend face on the belt and everything. The guy's fantastic at his job. Don't you think he could have come up with maybe some sort of a practical effect, since we're filming this thing ahead of time like you would do in Hollywood? You don't need it to be CGI to make it look even more cringy. But how is this going to play out? What's going to happen? If Seth Rollins has his eye extracted, is he going to wrestle the rest of his career with an eye patch on? Are they going to use this as their way to write Mysterio off of WWE television if he decides not to resign? But what if he does resign? Are we just going to have Rey Mysterio wrestling with this mask that he's wearing now, with the one eye blacked out, so we don't ever see his eye and we assume that it's not there anymore? How? Why? Why are we taking this literally? They're trying to one-up AEW here, I think, because AEW did the eye for an eye match just a couple of months ago. Jon Moxley and my boys from Proud and Powerful, Santana. We've seen this. And it's not the first time we've ever seen an eye angled. Obviously, many of you longtime fans like me, they've done this with Jake the Snake Roberts when he had his eye all whited out, because he lost sight in one eye thanks to Rick DeMotto Martel spraying him in the face with some arrogance. But the arrogance of the WWE to try to pull off something like this, I don't want them to become Lucha Underground. I don't mind the cinematic matches so much. And I know that a character like The Undertaker and a character like Bray Wyatt kind of necessitate and need the supernatural and horror elements to their character. It's kind of ingrained in what they are. But it doesn't fit here. Why are we getting so violent? What's wrong with Seth Rollins? I mean, I don't understand it. I don't think it's going to play out well, and I'm not looking forward to seeing it. They think this is going to make it intriguing? Does this make it must-see? The only reason I must see it is because I must see exactly how bad it's going to be. Speaking of how long and how bad it's going to be, let's talk more specifically about Monday Night Raw. Speaking of long and bad, oh my god, I thought this show was never going to end. It was one of the longest 3 hours of Raws I felt like I ever sat through. It felt like I was sitting through a pay-per-view. It just didn't want to end. The worst part about it is that we had way too much talking. Some really, really long, really poorly written promo segments. There were a few good moments. Let's not forget. As we said, we had the surprise return of Bianca Belair. Fantastic. The way they went about using her is a little bit questionable, but I'll give them props on it. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we had the bigger return, I guess, of Shayna Baszler, who's been missing in action for like ever. And then she shows up tonight, beats up some ninjas, scares away RTruth and Akira Tozawa, and makes a proclamation that she's going to destroy the women's division. Fantastic. But why am I going to invest myself in this? I've seen stuff like this before, and where is it going to go? Should we trust the WWE? Hell no, we should not trust the WWE. They fail with everybody. Look at half the other roster, people on the roster that came up from NXT. Look at what happened to the Viking Raiders tonight. Dead, buried. Ricochet, dead, buried. And then you have a United States Championship program. One of the main matches on this horror show at Extreme Rules. And it's MVP, who's claiming to be the actual United States champion, and we had a whole nother set of problems with that we talked about last week. We're not going to really bring that up too much again here. And he's facing the actual champion, Apollo Crews, who has not been around for the last 3 weeks to even try to build this match. Why are they building this match on the back of MVP and not putting all the central focus on the new talent who's actually the champion? No, but instead we're going to let MVP do all the talking because he's a familiar name from the past, and that's what brings in the ratings. Right, Bruce? Right, Vince? That's why we got the Big Show still around in a major program, getting himself booked into an unsanctioned match next week with Randy Orton. I don't care. I don't care. You could book them in a who drops off the top of the Empire State Building first match, and I'm not going to care. Nothing that the Big Show is doing with Randy Orton really has anything to do with Edge. They're just bringing up all these old random friendships. Oh, we're all old-timers, and we've all been on the roster for 20 years, so we're all obviously bestest of friends. No, I'm not trying to invalidate any of the friendships involved back, but why is this the focus of Randy Orton and the Big Show? Oh, it's about friendships. Why do you want to risk my friendship with you? Mr. Flair, why are you even here? There's a virus going around, and you could die, bro. You should go home, man. But no, we're not going to do that. We need to get as many old dudes on this show as possible, right? You think that's what Randy Orton's thinking? I don't think so. It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't give me any real interest. Doesn't pique my interest, doesn't get me involved, doesn't get me invested. I just don't care. And then I got to see the Big Show 4 times on every Monday Night Raw. In a little preview segment where he's going to talk some smack. Then we had to see him in the back with his little back and forth with Ric Flair, where Ric Flair sounded like he was going to cry and like he was all worried about the Big Show. Please don't do this, Big Show. I don't want you to do this. Randy Orton's a killer, man, and he's going to kill you, bro. Just go and retire, Show. What am I watching? Why is this on Monday Night Raw? Why are we not seeing more wrestling? There was some good wrestling on this show. Some good matches on this show. But nothing really felt like it mattered. With the exception of the main event, which of course we're going to talk about. But this was Grudge Match Monday. Grudge Match Monday, for those of you who don't know, is just a fancy way to say, hey, it's rematch night. We got an Extreme Rules pay-per-view on Sunday. But we're going to give you a bunch of matches you've seen already, many of them multiple times, and none of them are really going to have any meaning or anything to do with the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. We're going to do crazy things, like give you Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. But Why is that match on this card? Because it's Grudge Match Monday. A WrestleMania rematch. Kevin Owens got no grudge anymore. He made that perfectly clear in a promo, he said, when he was face-to-face with Seth Rollins. He's done with him. He did what he had to do. He's over it. He got his WrestleMania moment, and he's good. So now he's being inserted to be a protector for Rey Mysterio? Shouldn't Rey Mysterio be protecting himself? Why does he need so much protection? If he needs this much protection, he's definitely going to be the one losing his eye. The match was good. The match was good. Of course it was good. You got Seth Rollins in the ring with Kevin Owens. What do you think's going to happen? You think they're going to have a shitter of a match? No, they're not. But what was the point of this match? And it was only made even worse by the fact that Seth Rollins lost. This is a guy going into a big-time match. One of the marquee matches at your pay-per-view Sunday. And you have him losing to a guy that's not even involved. Making Seth Rollins look like a chump. And also, consequently, if you've been a wrestling fan for any length of amount of time, you've already become accustomed to the booking style of the WWE where, a wrestler will win in a certain predicament and then lose in a certain other predicament, but then will eventually get his win back. And we have seen Seth Rollins now for the last couple of weeks just pretty much on a downward spiral, and he can't get a leg up on Rey Mysterio. What do you think's going to happen Sunday? Who do you think's going to win? Seth Rollins is not going to lose again. He can't lose again. If you make him lose this match, then maybe they will. The way the WWE books people to win and lose, they don't care. They just don't care. I just can't imagine where it's going to go. But the match was okay. Another match that was okay was the pair of the women's tag team matchups. We had Bianca Belair show up with Ruby Riott to take on and defeat the Ikonics, who are terrible at wrestling. I'm sorry to all of my fans who are diehards of the Ikonics, if there really are many more than the one that I actually know exists. I'm sorry, bro, but they're terrible. They're terrible. They cannot take offense. They're bad in the ring. Peyton Royce is a little bit better, but you could see clearly in this matchup that they are not ready for television. They should have never been called up. They were nowhere near ready. Terrible, terrible stuff. But seeing Bianca Belair was great. And I got to give WWE props. They got to give them a good for not going with the obvious here. And bringing back Liv Morgan and just restarting the Riot Squad right from this point here. I don't know if Bianca and Ruby are going to be like a thing going forward. I certainly hope that's not the case. Bianca Belair deserves to be on her own. This girl is born and bred for this business. If you see the attitude and the swagger and the way she comes across in her character, the EST of WWE is a superstar, man. She deserves to be at the top of the card. She gets it. She has that it. And I don't know what the hell they're waiting for. At the same token, you got Shayna Baszler. Superstar. Great charisma, gave a great promo tonight, made some really good points. Like we said earlier, she scared away RTruth and Tozawa. But why are both of these things happening on a go-home show that both of these ladies are going to have nothing to do with? This seems like something you would want to do next week on Raw, after the pay-per-view, when it's time to start setting up some new stuff going on. Just seemed a little bit out of place, as good as both of these moments were. They were extremely better than the VIP lounge featuring Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler, who showed up today to regurgitate the same exact garbage he has said since he's confronted Drew McIntyre the first time out, building up to this matchup on the same exact script, the same paragraph, the same 3 lines, week in and week out. And then Drew McIntyre shows up, and he's like, listen, playtime's over. Drew McIntyre got very serious. He says he's going to hurt Dolph Ziggler. He's going to maim Dolph Ziggler. And then he laid out Dolph Ziggler with one punch. He took one stiff right shot to the face of Dolph, and down he went like a sack of shit. And I'm like, Why are you dropping like that? I know this guy's the champ, but you're supposed to be the challenger. Don't you want to even look like you have a chance? One quick punch is all it's going to take. This was a completely unnecessary segment to push a completely unnecessary matchup for the champion at this ridiculously booked pay-per-view. Talk about ridiculous booking. We had Andrade and Angel Garza defeating the Viking Raiders tonight in an elimination match. Now, this was made into an elimination match for the sole purpose just to fill time, to extend the bout to be longer than it should have been. And the reason I know this is because the second thing of significance that happened in this, besides it being booked as an elimination match, was that the Viking Raiders lost back-to-back falls without even getting an elimination in between to give themselves a little bit of momentum back, even though the Vega Boys cheated to win this thing in the end. You may as well call the time of death on the Viking Raiders. They're worthless. They're worthless now. Everything that they did over the last couple of months has been trash. It's been garbage, and it has led up to them losing, and now they're losing again. You would think the whole reason for the elimination stipulation would be to have the teams at least go 1-1. You know, build the drama, build the suspense. The teams are tied. Which team is going to win? But instead, you felt completely comfortable, Vince McMahon, putting the knife in the back of a team that didn't even get off the ground yet. A team that you ruined 100 times within their first week just based off of their names. Terrible. Terrible stuff. And I was not appreciative of it. It was not a good night for Monday Night Raw. We already talked about Owens and Rollins. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It just really is such ass backwards booking and just lazy. You know these two guys are going to go out there and put on a show, so we'll just book that. But even worse still about Owens versus Rollins is they needed to fill time. So in order to do that, they had Seth Rollins go out there, give a really long promo. Eye for an eye. Eye for an eye. What does it mean? He figures out what it means. Kevin Owens comes out. Kevin Owens gives Seth Rollins an eye patch. He's like, hey, you're going to need this after Sunday. Seth Rollins takes exception to this. Calls out Buddy Murphy to give himself an advantage so they can beat up KO 2-on-1. But before this can happen, Aleister Black shows up because it's Grudge Match Monday. And who's Murphy's grudge match guy? Aleister Black. All right. So now we're going to get this match again. I'm never going to complain about seeing these two guys go at it, but I will complain when you give me this matchup and it doesn't come out with a clear, decisive winner. And you can see that they only put on this match to fill time before the Owens-Rollins match. And I don't appreciate that. Not one bit. Plus, we've seen this match actually way too much at this point. But in this instance, on this episode, with them booking these two guys, there's nothing for this match to be happening. There's nothing behind it. There's no meat to it. There's no substance. There's no reason for it other than, you know, Aleister Black's a friend of Rey Mysterio and Buddy Murphy is with Seth Rollins and Murphy was going to beat up Kevin Owens. So this prompted Aleister Black to come out because he's, I don't know. They're just trying to, I guess, put as many people in one segment as possible. I don't know. And I don't really care. There was just as much bad on this show. More bad than there was good. That is for shit sure. Kevin Owens defeated Seth Rollins, but after the match, Rey Mysterio, who was ringside with the giant baby son Dominic, promised Seth Rollins that he's coming to Extreme Rules with 2 eyes, but you're only leaving with 1 eye. Eye for an eye, eye for an eye, eye for an eye. What does it mean? Here's your eye. Boom! Look, ref, I got the eye. Check it out. Boom. I win. I got your eye, bro. Then we had the Big Show and Ric Flair, with Flair trying to talk Show out of face of Randy Orton. Show wasn't buying it and wanted Ric Flair to go talk Randy Orton out of beating up R-Truth, when we know that wasn't going to happen. Randy Orton cut a very good, very dramatic promo, relishing the fact that he has been the Legend Killer all this time and is going back to being the Legend Killer. He also said that he respects R-Truth. R-Truth makes the WWE Universe laugh. He's a great guy. So it's unfortunate that he finds himself in the situation where he's going to have to do what he has to do to R-Truth. Randy Orton then goes out for this match with R-Truth. RKO's him in under a minute, and that was the end of that. He then sets up to punt R-Truth and really put him out once and for all. But the Big Show enters, makes the save without entering the ring. Randy Orton stops him. If you get one step closer, I'm going to knock him out, type of deal. Kept the Big Show at bay. And then laid down the challenge for the unsanctioned match, which the Big Show accepted for next week. Then we had Bobby Lashley come out and bury Ricochet. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander are still a team for some reason. Cedric and MVP have this weird kind of back and forth, making me think that eventually Cedric is going to turn and join MVP in the Hurt Business that he's opened with Bobby Lashley. But the continued denigration of the character of Ricochet and how he just continues to lose week in and week out. And the only thing about the Lashley-Ricochet match that stood out to me was in the end, if you guys watched, maybe you could help by answering this question. What the hell was Ricochet going for when he ended up wrapped up in the full Nelson at the end of that sequence? He springboarded off the ropes and was going backwards for what? A backspring elbow? Because he just went back with both arms up. Like, yeah, catch me, Bobby. Like, didn't even make it look convincing. It looked like he jumped into what he knew was going to be a full Nelson. So I was, looking for the logic in the match. It's not like he was going for something and got caught. He looked like he jumped right into Bobby Lashley's full Nelson, which was then felt by Cedric Alexander as well. And then we got the women's tag team matchup to end the night, which was very, very good. Very good. The only thing that makes me angry about this matchup is that this is what we should have been getting all along. And not just for the women's tag team belts, but, we should have been seeing Sasha versus Asuka, Bayley versus Asuka, Sasha versus Kairi. When you seen them in the ring tonight, can you tell me that you didn't want to see them fight one-on-one? And then put a major championship on the line and see what these two girls can go out there and do. They have very similar body types, very similar style, yet very different in their offense and their defense. And it would have been magical, instead of seeing friggin' Lacey Evans and Bayley and all the other garbage we've been put through. The Nia Jaxes and awful stuff we've been put through. And then we get a main event like tonight, which lets you know that they have the capability and the talent has the ability to do what we want them to do. But man, how can you watch that and not be furious at the WWE for waiting so long to do something like that? And I know we've seen them before, but they were never put in the position to really shine like they were tonight. And Bayley and Sasha Banks, as much as they're being overexposed, they're one of the best things to be watching in the WWE right now. That promo package that they got, the celebration of Bayley and Sasha Banks, is fantastic. And why they don't take the song that they used for that and make that their team entrance song, I don't know. I'm a little bit tired of we always complain when they do the two solo stars and they just do like a hard cut from one song to the other. That's not a theme song. That's not team. That's not unity. But I thought that song that they used in that promo would fit very well to be their duo entrance theme. And Kairi Sane looked fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last we see of her. She might be around for Asuka's championship match this Sunday, but with all the rumors, they still might be true. Kairi might be on her way out. Just because she's been on Raw doesn't mean that she's not, eyes towards the door. I would be if I was her, and I wouldn't blame her at all. And, of course, as we predicted last week, there was going to be no change in the title picture. Sasha and Bayley retained. It was a very good match. The finish was fantastic. Kairi Sane taps out to the bank statement, and Sasha and Bayley continue to reign supreme. Now that we got all of that out of the way, Extreme Rules, the horror show, is going to be exactly that. There is so much wrong already just going in. From the way that they've been booking Apollo Crews and MVP for this United States Championship, to the bar fight. Is that happening at Extreme Rules? I believe it is. If not, it's happening on SmackDown. Either way, I don't care about that. But the swamp fight we know is going down. I'm afraid about how corny and cheesy that might turn out to be. I feel like it's going to end up being more along the lines of what Bray and Randy Orton did, and less along the lines of what we've seen with AJ Styles and The Undertaker, which was actually good cinematic wrestling, as opposed to what else they've been doing since then. There's nothing really of interest this week coming up for the pay-per-view, unless you really, like me, are just curious and you want to see how this eye for an eye thing turns out, and I want to see what's going to happen with Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. Outside of that, I care not for Extreme Rules, the horror show, and neither should you. But you should come here Sunday night, when all is said and done, when we bring the hammer down like nobody else does on the WWE and this horror show at Extreme Rules. Thank you guys for indulging my thoughts on Monday Night Raw. Don't forget to leave me your thoughts on tonight's shit show, which was Monday Night Raw, which was another in an extremely long line of failed attempts at go-home shows. Let me know. Light it up. Drop your hammers down in the comments below. If you liked today's episode and you had a good time here, smash that thumbs up. It really helps the video get out there into the world and pushes us to get more and more people to see this, so that we can continue to grow the army. And to grow the army, all you need to do, if you're not already a member of the Sledgehead Nation, just smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so that you guys will know every single time a video drops here on Sledgehammer TV, and you will not be missing out, like so many of you are that are not notified and don't have your bells rung. Ring your own bells, raise your hammers and ring your bells. And smash the subscribe button first, and let's keep the momentum going. We are safely over 2,600. We continue to march to 3K. The 4-year anniversary bash is coming in August. We are celebrating, and we want you guys to be a part of it. We're trying to think of a bunch of things that we could do to make this year be the biggest year for Sledgehammer TV, and it can't be that without you guys. So I appreciate all the love and support. Who the hell am I? You know that by now. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you Sledgeheads out there. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.